Oh, it does, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh, hello there, and welcome back to our Rocket Boys chapter summary. Chapter 11, Rocket Candy. Okay, so there's kind of two major storylines happening in this chapter. The first one is that they're developing a new fuel. They realize that they'd kind of maxed out the altitude they could get with the existing fuel they're using. And so the next step was to improve a fuel. And so they invent this fuel called Rocket Candy, and its main ingredient is sugar. And so that's kind of cool because it's a big science connection back to what we've learned about molecules and chemical reactions and photosynthesis and respiration. So we know that plants, when they make sugar, when they do photosynthesis, they're taking sunlight energy and they're kind of, we could say, trapping it or changing it into chemical energy that's stored in like the bonds in those sugar molecules.
I'm sorry, can we just point out how funny their protective gear is?
Yes, I love this. I want to see like a Norman Rockwell painting of this scene.
Yes. Anyway, sorry.
Of them in their like
baseball cap with a shield.
Yeah, they like make like all this homemade protective gear.
Yeah, anyway.
Hey, that's one thing you guys have in common with them, probably.
Yeah, it was like
homemade protective equipment nowadays.
Yeah, seriously.
Back in that era. Okay. And so sugar has like all this energy stored in the molecules. And then when we do respiration, okay, we eat food to get sugar. And then that gets sent into all of the cells in our body. And then we breathe in to get oxygen. And our blood sends that out to all the cells in our body. And when the oxygen and the sugar react, we get this little explosion of energy that we can use. And so they're using that exact same principle, the reaction between sugar and oxygen, to make their fuel. And then there's one more thing. I don't remember if it's like potassium nitrate or something. It's basically to like speed up that reaction. So like if we just set sugar and oxygen next to each other, like we kind of did this in the marshmallow lab where we lit the marshmallows on fire and different types of food to see how much they burn. That's not going to be enough to enough energy to launch a rocket. So they put other ingredients in it that helps like basically speed up the reaction to get the oxygen and the fuel to react with each other even faster. Anyway, so I just think it's really, really awesome that this reaction that is fueling their rockets is the same reaction we learned about with cellular respiration. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is saltpeter?
I don't even know.
They put like a spoonful of saltpeter. I was just curious.
We need to look it up.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't.
That's okay. That's all right.
Answer in the comments. Like and subscribe.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry. Okay, so that's the first thing. They make this new rocket fuel, and they test it out, and it seems to work really well. Their next rocket gets to, I think it breaks their record. It gets like 700 something feet. But when they look at it, they notice that it has burned through, and not just like burned, but almost like corroded or rusted through the nozzle. And so when they made their very first rocket, that was a problem they had, is like the nozzle was melting through. Mm-hmm. And now that they've changed fuels,
they're back to that.
They're kind of back to that same problem. So it shows like when you change one part of your design, it's going to like kind of have an effect on the other part of your design. Kind of like if you throw like an enormous engine in a small car, you're going to start breaking your transmission or things like that. Okay. So that's where they're at with their rockets. As you guys know, because you build cars.
I was like...
So you can relate to that.
We learned two things today.
The next thing that happens in this chapter, which I would say is a pretty major story development, is that his dad takes Homer down into the mine, takes Sonny down into the mine. And there's a few major things with that. One is that's kind of, I think, like a rite of passage.
It's a big deal.
It's
like
a huge
his older
thing.
brother, Jim, who is much tighter with his dad, has never been in the mine. Like, yeah. It's a big deal.
And you think for most people, that this wouldn't happen until they started working in the mines. And so probably like, you graduate high school, you go get a job at the mine, and like your first trip down into the mine is like, you're a man now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's a big deal. And it's a big deal that his dad like kind of trusts him enough to do it. So they go down in the mine.
And by the way, they don't tell the mom.
Yeah, it's like
a secret.
Don't tell your mom I took you down. Because the mom hates the mine because it's dangerous. Right?
But it makes Sonny feel so special. He even says like, this is my boy, you're my boy. Like, his dad is like proud of him for like being smart and going to the mine. It's like the first time Sonny is like felt like his dad was proud of him. Totally.
The other thing is that. Sorry, I flipped to the wrong chapter. Sonny also is, for the first time, really seeing his dad in his element. Yeah. And he can tell that, like, when his dad's in the mine, that's, like, where he kind of belongs. That's where, like, he really feels...
Like, he's really good at what he does.
Yes.
And Sonny feels proud of his dad, just, like, seeing him down there and seeing how...
Like, and seeing how all the other men respected him. And, like, just how good he is at his job. And anyway, I thought that was really cool. So this is like a huge moment between him and his dad. And then his dad starts to show him some like engineering drawings, kind of some blueprints of how the mine is designed. And one of the big things in the mine is they need to like pump all the air out of the mine because it can be like toxic and dangerous and explode and stuff. And so his dad helped design that. And so Sonny's kind of like, oh, so Dad, you're kind of an engineer. And Sonny wants to be an engineer. So that's kind of a big deal. And his dad's like, well, I'm not a real engineer. Like engineers, have to go to college. I'm just, whatever. I'm just a mine dude. So with that, his dad kind of springs this question on him where he says, basically like, if you want to be an engineer, you could come work down in the mine. And I think his dad kind of says like, I don't help pay for college. Like if you want to work in the mine, I could pay for college for you.
That's exactly what he says. Yeah. He's like, if you want to become a mining engineer, I'll pay for your college. Yeah. Which is like a huge deal and a huge temptation. But Sonny...
And I think the other thing that's even bigger is like Sonny knows from kind of the whole buildup of this experience of him and his dad bonding. It's kind of like they're having this amazing moment for the first time. Yeah. And he doesn't want to like break his dad's heart. Like he knows this matters to his dad. But he doesn't want to lie either.
Yeah. And he tries to sidestep the question. Like, I want to be an engineer. I want to be an engineer. And his dad's like, but do you want to work in the mine? And it's hard for Sonny because here his dad is proud of him. And he ends up being honest. And he's like, no, I want to go design rockets. And it's a hard blow for his dad. Like, it feels very personal, But Sonny goes down the mine, and as much respect as he feels for his dad, he's also like, this is jacked up. And if you read this chapter, I mean, it sounds terrifying to be in the mine. Like, it's rough, And if anything, I think going into the mine reaffirms to Sonny, like, this isn't what I want to do.
Oh, there's another thing in here, which we won't focus on, but it's one of those things you could easily miss if you didn't know. So he says, his dad's like, so you want to be an engineer? And he's like, yep. And he's like, you could work in the mine. And he's like, I learned a lot today. Yeah. And then his dad's like, what I'm asking? Do you want to be a mining engineer? And he's like, I want to be an engineer. And his dad's like, do you want to be a mining engineer? And then finally he says, I had no choice but to tell him the truth. I want to go work for Dr. Von Braun, Dad. And then his dad's like starts dissing on Von Braun, and so this is a thing you don't learn until now.
Next chapter,
does it come back?
It. Yeah,
we'll just cover it now. Should we cover it now?
Well, sure. We're gonna have to cover it in the next chapter, but you can still point out.
Dr. Von Braun is from Germany, and he was like So Germany during World War II had like the most advanced missile program in the world because they developed missiles not to go to space, but to attach bombs to. So I think it was called like the V2 rocket. I could be wrong about that. But basically, so Germany was way ahead of the rest of the world when it came to missiles. And this is like during World War II, like when the Nazis were in charge. And then what happened at the end of World War II is Germany got split in half into West Germany, which was like allied with the United States and most of Europe, and East Germany, which was allied with Russia and the Soviet Union. And because Germany had such advanced scientists during the Cold War, like we kind of took a bunch of scientists from Germany, us and the Soviet Union, because we're like, oh, they were way advanced on a bunch of this stuff. We need their expertise. And so a lot of people, especially got to remember, like this is after the war, and a lot of people
World War II is fresh.
A lot of people don't like Wernher von Braun. And he's like the face of NASA. He's like in charge of NASA, and lots of people are basically like, Wernher von Braun's a Nazi. Like, why would we let him be in charge of like our missile program?
Yeah.
So...
And in the next chapter, we're going to have some interesting insights. Because he's like, go talk to... And if you guys remember from a previous chapter, The Polish guy that helped him, I'm forgetting his name.
The guy that helps them in the shop.
It's a B name.
Bykowski.
Bykowski.
Mr. Bykowski.
Go talk to Mr. Bykowski, because Mr. Bykowski is Jewish.
Yeah.
So anyway, his dad kind of lashes out and is like, he's a Nazi and you should go. He doesn't say he's a Nazi, but that's what he implies.
Yeah.
And then it gets even spicier because as they come out of the mine...
Yeah. So we kind of have this moment. His dad takes him out of the mine. They have this huge bonding moment. His dad says, like, he's my boy, like, and all this stuff. And he's really let his dad down. And his dad, I think as soon as he says that, his dad's, like, back on the defensive. And you can tell he's, like, he has been hurt that his son doesn't want to be in the mine.
Uh-huh.
He's really disappointed. And so then they go out, and you'll remember that, like, this whole thing was, like, a big secret from their mom. And they walk out of the mine, and the mom's, like, standing right there waiting for him.
Pissed.
You know, like, totally busted.
Yep.
And
like, all the miners are
and this is, like, at the mine. And,
the
mom just, like, chews out his dad. Chews
Yes.
out Homer.
Yes.
Super bad.
And he takes it, because he knows.
Yeah, and he just kind of... And it's kind of embarrassing for him. You gotta remember, like, you know...
Yeah.
Gender roles at this time.
Oh, yeah.
So he's sitting there, like, in front of all his miners that work for him, and his wife's just, like, you know...
She yells at him in front of all the employees. He's like... So first the dad's like, what's wrong with you, Elsie? Like, whispering. And she yells at him, this mine's killed you, but it's not going to kill my boys. And it's like, whoa! Like, she's dropping some... And then she, like, yells about the black spot on his lung. And, like, you know, she's pissed, and he knows she's right to a degree, and so he kind of takes it, but it is an interesting end.
So this is a big chapter.